think we want to hear from you right now at 888-957-9570. This is a question that, for some reason, I think has been bouncing around in the back of everybody's minds, but we just keep it there. We'll wipe it off to the left, shove it to the right. Thank you, sir. Let's ask it right now, today. 49ers supposed to go trade for Lamar Jackson or not? You want him to do that?
No. I mean,
a lot of you, I think, want him to do that.
Do they?
I wonder.
Sell me on it. That's what I want to hear.
Okay.
I want to be sold on it.
It's going to have to be someone else. I'm not. Well, okay. No, I'll go devil's advocate.
Will you?
I'll sell you on it. I think that's
you
easy.
You hate Brock Purdy.
That's easy. It's easy to sell you on it. Here's the deal. In the NFL, do you want a great quarterback or not?
Maybe.
Quarterback-driven league, yes or no?
It tends to be. If you look at the quarterbacks who've won the Super Bowl going backward, most of them are good, high-paid quarterbacks.
Lamar Jackson, proven commodity, yes or no?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you guess?
Well, he's never been to a conference championship game. He's never been to a Super Bowl. He's had a nice little career.
He's an MVP.
Slander. Is that slander?
That's slander.
It's slander to say that he's never been to a conference championship game.
Look, he's won an MVP, but so's Cam Newton.
Right.
So's Cam Newton. So
Cam Newton will come at a much lower price.
I'm going to hear all of your points today. Yours, the listeners. I don't think this is one of those conversations where anybody can be like really, really, really wrong. So I can sell you on it. I can also sell you off of it. But I can sell you on it. If the 49ers acquire Lamar Jackson, are they the favorites in the NFC or not?
If they acquire Lamar Jackson, I don't know what.
The second it happens, are they the favorites to win the NFC or not?
I don't think so. I still think Philadelphia would be the favorites, yeah. And because
I don't think Philadelphia is a favorite now.
So when you acquire Lamar Jackson,
okay,
what corresponding move do you make in order to get Lamar Jackson? Because you have to trade a player because salary cap wise, you can't afford to bring Lamar Jackson onto this team unless you trade some other player.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily need to trade them. You could cut people. You can restructure people. You could probably figure out a way to do it. You will need to pay the piper at some point.
Well, so Lamar's going to make what, $35 million next year?
Well, no, we don't know. We don't know. He has no contract.
Well, what's his franchise tag
the franchise number is somewhere
like 40?
Yeah, somewhere 40, a little bit north of 40.
And that's about what he wants in terms of if he's going to sign with you, acquiring team, he'll want about that much. And so if you're the 49ers and you want to acquire $40 million, well, you don't have that cap room right now. You've got about $5 million under the cap, if that. So what's the corresponding move before I answer your question as to whether or not they're favorites?
What if Deebo Samuel's not on the team anymore?
Okay, that hurts you.
First rounder, Deebo Samuel, something else, some second rounder, some whatever. And you get Lamar.
It'll take more than that, but just in terms of your...
You don't know that.
It'll take more than a first round, which, by the way, will be a first round next year.
Remember,
it won't be a first round this year.
That's correct. Remember,
so a first rounder, 29 or whatever overall.
But you're also throwing in a financial offer that, in theory, the Ravens don't want to match. Because if you throw in the financial offer and Lamar agrees, and the Ravens say, we'll do that, then he's a Raven. But what if the Ravens are like, A, we don't want to match that contract, B, we like Deebo Samuel, and C, we like 2024 first-round picks. I mean, if it's this quiet, I don't know how many offers, how many options do the Ravens even have right now?
It seems like not many. But if I'm the Ravens and there's another team out there that wants Lamar Jackson, then I'm not going to trade anything. I'm going to say, go ahead and sign him, and then I get 2 first-round picks as compensation. So for me, if I'm the Ravens, I'm going to say, you need to give me 2 first-round picks as compensation. Now, if Deebo Samuel is one of them, and you could say right now that if Deebo Samuel was up there in an open draft in the NFL, he might be a first-round pick. He's a first or second-round pick in the NFL right now if you redrafted the whole league. So if I'm Baltimore, I'm saying you give me Deebo, you give me a first, and you give me a second for starters.
I got a different idea. How about this? And by the way, I'm still in the mode of devil's advocate.
I love it.
So I don't want to see any slander on YouTube.
Oh, it's coming in on the tube.
This is just...
Oh, the text line is burying you.
It's lit up in here.
It's litty slander.
Listen, what if I said this? What if the 49ers said, we'll give you next year's one, and we'll give you Deebo Samuel, and we'll give you Trey Lance?
I'm sorry, your phone cut out? Did you say Trent Williams? Because
No.
your phone brunk out.
Trey Lance.
And if I'm Baltimore?
Trent Williams, but Trey Lance. I mean, in theory, Baltimore would like a mobile quarterback to replace the one they're losing. No?
Well, don't they have one already? In
Tyler Huntley?
I was going to say Brett Hundley, but I knew I had the wrong Huntley.
That's not the answer.
And who was that catcher Huntley from way back?
Oh, yeah.
Former Dodger, former Giant, right? That might have been Brett Hundley.
No, well, Brett Hundley was the quarterback
UCLA quarterback,
UCLA.
right?
Then he played with the Packers for a little while.
There's a Tyler Huntley.
Nick Hundley was a catcher. He sent one up the middle deep into the night for a walk-off, I believe, in one of his final games as a Giant. That was back when you could hit the ball up the middle and it was a hit.
Can I get Nick Hundley instead of Trey Lance?
You cannot have Nick Hundley.
If I'm Baltimore and you're going to offer me Trey Lance, it's a pass.
And Deebo.
Right.
And a one.
Yeah, I would say I'm going to need at least one more pick.
Are we not in the conversation?
We're in the conversation, but I don't think that Baltimore, and I look forward to hearing from Jason Lockenfora in an hour as far as the league perspective. What does the league think of Trey Lance? Because if I'm Baltimore, I don't look at Trey Lance as a one anymore.
What does the league think of Lamar Jackson? Apparently nobody wants him.
Well, it's early. It's early.
Is it?
It's very early.
When an elite quarterback is available, there's no such thing as early. Normally, people are foaming at the mouth and setting up a line around the block. And I'm, by the way,
this is different.
I'm not convinced that's not happening. This is different
because A, he's been franchise tagged, and B, he has no agent.
Yeah, but the franchise tag falls right off if you acquire him and do a deal with him.
But the normal, straight line negotiation of this process is totally cattywampus. Shout out Dwayne Dibley, and that's one of his favorite words. Rest in peace. He's got no agent. So right now you're dealing with the player, and even if you're a team that wants to acquire the player, and you call the player, and you're like, hey, Lamar, we want to give you 2 years and $40 million guaranteed. And he's like, hell no. So it's not a normal negotiation.
That's fair, but he has requested a trade from the Ravens. I think his ears would be pretty open if somebody else called, especially if, good Lord, Kyle Shanahan was on the phone with this roster. And by the way, the Ravens would probably love to get him out of the conference. Again, devil's advocate for a moment. Yeah. But what if I threw it to you this way? And by the way, 888-957-9570, because we're kind of surprised that this hasn't come up more. Lamar is just sitting there, and we found out yesterday that his trade request came 3 weeks ago. Over 3 weeks ago. So I got questions, Bucks, Falcons, and Commanders. What are you doing? What are you doing? How are you not making this deal? But think about it from the 49ers perspective for a second. Take your emotions out of it. Your first-round pick next year, do you care? It's actually probably pick 30, pick 29.
If things go well.
So do you even care about that pick? Really, really, really? Do you care about it?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
All right. Deebo Samuel. What if I said to you that if they want to re-sign Brandon Ayuk, that guy's probably going to be gone anyway. And if Brock Purdy is your starting quarterback, what exactly is Trey Lance to you in the future?
Right.
So if I couch it that way, what are you really giving up with a 1, Deebo, and Trey Lance for Lamar Jackson? What are you really actually giving up?
You're giving up a 1, you're giving up Deebo, and you're giving up Trey Lance. Now, the 1...
3 things that you may not be using 2 years from now anyway.
Well, let's rank them in terms of the 1, the first-round pick is the most important of the 3 because the idea of what that could be is greater than what that pick actually most likely will be. So the pick itself is more valuable than the player that the pick will become. Deebo Samuel is valuable to the extent that you picked up Brandon Ayuk's fifth-year option, which means you've got Ayuk for one more year. He's the guy who is more likely to be McGlinchified than he is going to be signed. So you've got one more year of Ayuk at peak Ayuk. He's playing for his next contract. So why would you want to get rid of Debo? If you get rid of Debo, then what you're telling Ayuk is we're going to give you $20 million a year, which is a bigger contract than what you had to pay Debo.
What if I just asked you which receiver do you want for the next 5 years, Debo or Ayuk?
It depends on the price.
Well, they're both expensive.
Right.
So
for me, it's Ayuk. But for one more year, you've got both. So the idea of trading Ayuk right now is foolish to me or trading Debo right now, that would be telling you that you're going to go with just one good receiver instead of two. You've got both under contract for this year.
Oh, receivers.
This is the year.
Tom Brady made an entire career out of no receivers.
And Lamar Jackson's not Tom Brady. Are you saying that Lamar Jackson's Tom Brady?
I'm not saying Lamar Jackson's Tom Brady. I'm saying that the Kansas City Chiefs just won the Super Bowl, and what they do with their top receiver.
Patrick Mahomes might be Tom Brady. So
actually, I think he's better.
Are you saying Lamar Jackson is Patrick Mahomes?
My point is you don't need great receivers to win the Super Bowl.
You do if your quarterback is not Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady.
Let's check that. Is that true? Let's go back over the last few Super Bowls.
Look at the Rams when they won the Super Bowl. They had Odell Beckham Jr., likely Hall of Famer.
Not really.
And Cooper Coop, who led the league in catches.
His leg flew off. Nick Foles won the Super Bowl a few years ago. Who were his receivers? I bet you can't even name one.
Yeah, there's that Pinkston guy. That one guy.
Exactly.
80-something,
exactly.
What I think he wore.
There is absolutely no correlation between great receivers and a Super Bowl. I am firmly confident in that, and that comes from the city that grew Jerry Rice.
Well, there's an equal correlation between winning the Super Bowl and mediocre quarterbacks then. If you want to go back to Nick Foles, Matthew Stafford, the guy was a journeyman. So
he wasn't a journeyman.
What was he?
He was a bum. He had been on one team.
He was a bum in Detroit. He was a bum.
Get out of here.
Empty calories. And the third part of that, of your trade, is Trey Lance. And as I've told you before, and you heard John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan talk about it, quarterback depth is very important for the 49ers. So I don't want to make the QB room any less crowded by trading Trey Lance.
Lamar, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold. What's wrong with that?
I'd rather have it the way it is with the salaries you're paying these guys. You're paying Lamar $40 million?
Okay. So
no thanks.
We're working our way toward where our common ground is on this.